All right. The hour for convening having arrived, all members please take their seats. The clerk will ring the bell. We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers, please close the doors and keep them closed. We will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 37th House District, Representative Teasley. Representative Teasley.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This morning I have the privilege of introducing a gentleman I've long admired, Dr. Michael Youssef. Even before he was born, it was evident that God had a vision for him. His mother was in poor health at the time she became pregnant, and because her life was believed to be in jeopardy by the birth, the doctor recommended that they terminate the pregnancy. An abortion procedure was scheduled, but God had intervened. He sent the family pastor to reassure them the night before the procedure was to take place that God was involved in this pregnancy, not to be afraid, and this child would be born to serve the Lord. His parents accepted the pastor's message as a message from the Lord, and they obeyed. His mother gave birth and lived to see him surrender his life to the Lord in 1964 at the age of 16. Believing that God was calling him out of Egypt, his native country, Dr. Youssef sought an exit visa at the time when no university student was permitted to hold a passport or leave the country. Again, God intervened and miraculously provided approval for his application. He immigrated to Australia, where he studied at Moore Theological Seminary in Sydney, was ordained as a minister, and met and married his wife Elizabeth. The Youssefs came to America in 1977, and in 1978, he received a master's degree in theology at Fuller Theological Seminary in California, and he later earned a doctorate in social anthropology from Emory University right here in Atlanta. Dr. Youssef is the founder and president of Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef, a worldwide ministry that leads the way for people living in spiritual darkness to discover the light of Christ. He's also the founding pastor of Church of the Apostles in Atlanta. On a personal note, I've currently been reading a book that he wrote many years ago and actually had kind of rewritten back in 2012, 2013. Called The Leadership Style of Jesus. And I must admit, this book has been very convicting, as it has reminded me of the many ways that I fall short in terms of the standards and the callings of Christ as it pertains to leadership. So I'm not sure if his remarks are along those same lines, but if so, I'm in line for another round of conviction. So Dr. Youssef, I just want to thank you for your commitment to the truth and for serving our Lord. And I invite you to come up and share a word with us this morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Madam Speaker, thank you for having me, Representative Teasley. I'm greatly honored to be here. This month actually represents our 40th year living in Atlanta, Georgia. And since then, I've been around the world 64 times. I've traveled and met with great world leaders, but my greatest joy is to call myself a servant of Jesus Christ. And in that regard, I'm here. One of the great things that helps when somebody invites you to speak and tells you what to speak about, and Representative Teasley told me that the leadership style of Jesus and a message that I gave not long ago, actually 5 years ago at the Senate. Please use that message. So you're going to get a reheated message. The Leadership Style of Jesus is really a book that's been literally in print for 35 years. Very unusual, 3 different publishers. And if you give me your card, I'll be honored to send you one as my gift. And I'm not here to lobby for anything. Never lobbied for anything. I remember saying to Sonny at the end of 8 years, Sonny Perdue, our governor, I said, we've been friends for 8 years. Have I ever asked you for anything? He said, no. I said, good, keep it that way. But one of the things that I like to do, and I know my time is very limited, and they said that after 15 minutes, everybody leaves if I'm still going. But I'm going to keep to the time limitation. And especially a message to those of you who have been elected to serve. And it doesn't matter which way you look at it, there are only 2 types of leaderships. Now there may be subtypes, but there are really primarily 2 kinds of leadership. It is either Jesus' way or the Machiavellian way. And those 2 have been in contrast for hundreds of years. Machiavellian leadership style is that, which is really the most accepted and the most used in many enterprises, is in contrast to that of the Lord Jesus Christ. Machiavelli, who lived between 1469 and 1527, in his book, The Prince, advocated that leaders are to pursue power and use power to their own advantage. Jesus taught that you use power to serve others. Machiavelli advocated that you have to maintain power at any cost, and no matter whom you step on to keep that power. Jesus said, it is only in serving and it's only in loving that you can truly have true power. Machiavelli said that a leader, if he have to, he should use force, deception, coercion, even eliminating your rivals to stay in power. Now, growing up in the Middle East, I understand this type of leadership. I've seen it exercised. Jesus taught that greatness in leadership comes from placing the interest of God first and then others. Throughout history, there are many leaders who have followed the Machiavellian style of leadership, and they brought about destruction and horror and death. But those who followed the leadership style of Jesus, they truly brought untold blessings, whether it be in nations, companies, individuals, and small communities. One of these people who followed the leadership style of Jesus is really one of my great heroes, and his name is William Wilberforce. I probably studied the life of William Wilberforce. I went to Battersea in London looking for the place where he used to meet. He worked tirelessly for 23 years and would not give up and would not give in, not to retain power, but to give power to the powerless and end one of the darkest blights in all of humanity. The Bible tells us about 2 brothers. They both were disciples of Jesus, and they both wanted power, and they wanted Jesus to give them power. If you use the British understanding, one wants to be prime minister and the other one wants to be the chancellor of the exchequer. One wants to be the treasurer, one want to be the governor. After all, they thought Jesus is an earthly king, and he's going to have a kingdom on this earth. But Jesus said to Pontius Pilate, he said, my kingdom is not of this world. This is something we need to remember, because our secular society becoming more and more secular, that we're focusing everything, including those of us in the pulpits and those of us in churches, on this life. Some of the best-selling book is Your Best Life Is Now. Don't ever forget that is not our best life, that every one of us one day going to be accountable to the Creator God. Those who will be judged and those who know the Lord Jesus Christ, we're going to give an account for every idle word that's spoken. And so these two thought that it's going to be an earthly kingdom, it's going to be earthly power, and they want to be one on the right and one on the left. And when the other 10 disciples heard this, they got their noses out of joint. Of course. And Jesus told them, he said, the pagan world, leaders, they lord it over people. They lord their power over people. As for you, whoever would be great among you, let him be a servant of all. For the Son of God came not to be served, but to serve. And whatever you think of the founding fathers, I have a great deal of admiration. And as a boy who lived under a Islamo-social dictatorship of Mr. Nasser in Egypt, as a boy I used to read about the American experiment, and I would go to the library and pick up books, and I would read about the freedom in America, and I dreamed of one day coming to America. And I would read, and I tell people that sometimes I probably knew more about the American, and I even read the Federalist Papers. I knew more about America than most Americans. They understood, the founders understood as much the leadership style of Jesus. And therefore they created a system, I'm not saying it's perfect, but they created a system whereby all those who, like you, in the halls of power, and you have the power of the vote, learned that there are servants, not lords. That's why we don't have a House of Lords. I know it's easy to forget this, or sometimes remember this during election time. I know many of you already serve and are servants, and I thank God for you. But the moment you forget that you are a servant of the people is a moment of personal tragedy and a tragedy to our great state. Now, without taking too much time, I want to expand upon each of the 5 power plays. I will not expand on them, but enumerate them. Manipulation, guilting or shaming people, intimidation, ridicule, emotional appeals. All of these are designed to hide the truth. And my friends, I want to tell you, you need to open your eyes and you'll see that we live in a post-truth culture. But nonetheless, Jesus said, when you know the truth will set you free. Shall you pray with me? Precious Heavenly Father, we thank you that you have created this world and you're sustaining it. We thank you that you love us. You love everyone who's standing right here in this room. And that you desire for everyone to come and know you as Father, Abba. Thank you for Jesus, who left the glories of heaven, came as an embryo in a virgin's womb, lived in the most impoverished situation, went about doing good, serving and not being served. And then ultimately, the sinless took the sin of the whole world upon his sinless body on the cross, then mightily rose from the dead on the 3rd day. We thank you that you have given us the very breath that we woke up with this morning to be here. Will you help us, especially as we come to the close of this session? Help your servants to never forget that they are servants of the Lord and servants of the people. Bless them and make them a blessing for Jesus' sake. Amen and amen and amen. Let's pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. I actually do one of the books, so, but I'm happy to purchase it if I can do it online.
I'll be happy to send it to you. I'll be honored to autograph it for you.
Okay, I would love it.
Can one of your staff send me your...
Yes,
Okay.
we will. Thank you. Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. The chair recognizes Chairman Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Madam Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has reviewed the proceedings of the previous legislative day and found them to be correct.
Chairman Taylor, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none and the journal is confirmed. Clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of the business of the day.
Mr. Burns, the 159th move the following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Report of standing committees. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order for the business of the day? The chair hears none and the resolution is adopted.
First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1042 by Representative Spencer, the 180th bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating the general provisions relative to state government.
State Planning and Community Affairs.
House Bill 1043 by Representative Werkheiser, the 157th, the bill being titled an act to amend and act creating a new charter for the city of Jessup.
Intragovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 1045 by Representative Williams, the 145th, and Rose, the 120th. Bill being titled an act to authorize Putnam County to exercise all of the
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1046 by Representative Perkle, 155th bill being titled an act to authorize the governing authority of the city of Fitzgerald to levy an excise tax.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1051 by Representative Teasley, the 37th bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 33 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia annotated relating to kinds of insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 1052 by Representative Tarver the 2nd, Ridley of the 6th, and Carpenter the 4th bill being titled an act to amend an act creating the Board of Commissioners of Whitfield County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1053 by Representative Fry, the 118th, Douglas the 78th, Dreyer the 59th, Gardner the 57th, Oliver the 82nd bill being titled an act to amend Part 5, Article 4, Chapter 11 of Title 16. Fiscal Code of Georgia annotated relating to Brady Law regulations.
Public safety and homeland security.
House Bill 1054 by Representative Sessler, the 35th, Earhart of the 36th, Golick of the 40th, Cooper the 43rd, Reeves of the 34th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend an act, entitled an act to reincorporate and provide a new charter for the city of Ackworth.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 1055 by Representative Fry, 118th, Bazemore the 63rd, Beverly the 143rd, Dreyer the 59th, Smyrie the 135th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 50 of the Fiscal Code of Georgia annotated relating to state government. Yes, sir.
Industry and labor.
House Resolution 1516 by Representative Dempsey the 13th, Lumsden of the 12th, Coomer the 14th, a resolution recognizing Representative Paul Smith and dedicating an interchange in his honor.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1517 by Representative Cooper the 43rd, Hatchett of the 150th, LaHood of the 175th, Trammell the 132nd, Fry of the 118th, and others. A resolution urging the House Rural Development Council to solicit input from the independent physicians.
Health and Human Services.
House Resolution 1536 by Representative Cooper the 43rd, a resolution recognizing and commending the National PTA and its constituent associations for their efforts.
Special rules.
House Resolution 1537 by Representative Cooper the 43rd, a resolution creating the House Study Committee on Nursing Home Quality Assessment.
Human Relations and Aging.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1037 by Representative Watson of the 172nd, a bill to provide a new charter for the city of Meigs. House Bill 1038 by Representative Hilton of the 95th, a bill to authorize the governing authority of Gwinnett County to levy an excise tax. House Bill 1039 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, a bill to create the Big Canoe Water and Sewer Authority. House Bill 1040 by Representative Jones of the 167th, a bill relating to open and public meetings. House Bill 1041 by Representative Rutledge of the 109th, a bill to amend an act incorporating the city of McDonough. House Bill 1044 by Representative Shaw of the 176th, a bill to amend an act providing for a supplement to the compensation of the judges of the Superior Courts of the Southern Judicial Circuit. House Bill 1047 by Representative Jackson of the 128th, a bill to amend an act to create the State Court of Washington County. House Bill 1048 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd, a bill to amend an act to supplement the salary of the judge of the Superior Courts of the Blue Ridge Judicial Circuit. House Bill 1049 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd, a bill to amend an act to create the State Court of Cherokee County. House Bill 1050 by Representative Dickey of the 140th, a bill to amend an act providing a new charter for the city of Byron. House Resolution 1468 by Representative Gilliard of the 162nd, resolution recognizing Honorable Floyd Adams Jr. and dedicating a bridge in his memory. House Resolution 1469 by Representative Gravely of the 67th, a resolution urging the government of Israel to maintain its consulate general in Atlanta, Georgia. House Resolution 1470 by Representative Gravely of the 67th, resolution recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and urging the President of the United States to relocate the United States Embassy to Israel's capital. House Resolution 1471 by Representative Stowell of the 74th, resolution creating the House Study Committee on the revitalization of the Atlanta State Farmers Market. House Resolution 1472 by Representative Gertler of the 8th, a resolution urging all local boards of education to implement the provisions of the Georgia law regarding the arming of school personnel. House Resolution 1473 by Representative McCall of the 33rd, a resolution creating the House Study Committee on Industrial Hemp Production. Senate Bill 264 by Senator Jaffers of the 17th, a bill to amend an act to create a Board of Commissioners for Rockdale County. Senate Bill 477 by Senator Parent of the 42nd, a bill to authorize the governing authority of the city of Decatur to levy an excise tax. Senate Bill 478 by Senator Parent of the 42nd, a bill to create the City of Brookhaven Public Facilities Authority. Senate Bill 480 by Senator Mullis of the 53rd, a bill to authorize the governing authority of Walker County to levy an excise tax. 3 second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Tom McCall, 33rd District Chairman of the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, submitted the following report from Speaker of the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs as had under consideration the following resolutions of the House. It is instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Resolution 1471, do pass. House Resolution 1473, do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Tom McCall, 33rd District Chairman. Representative Jan Tankersley, the 160th District Chairman on the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals, submitted the following report from Speaker of your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals had under consideration the following bills of the House and the Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1021 do pass. House Bill 1022 do pass. House Bill 1023 do pass by substitute. House Bill 1024 do pass. House Bill 1026 do pass. House Bill 1030 do pass. House Bill 1031 do pass. House Bill 1033 do pass. House Bill 1034 do pass. House Bill 1035 do pass. House Bill 1036 do pass. Senate Bill 398 do pass. Senate Bill 440 do pass. House Bill 1028 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jan Tankersley, the 160th District Chairman. Representative Epps, the 144th District Chairman of the Committee on Motor Vehicles, submitted the following report from Speaker of your Committee on Motor Vehicles. Is that under consideration the following bills of the Senate? It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 342 do pass by substitute. Senate Bill 409 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Epps, the 144th District Chairman. Representative Alan Powell, the 32nd District Chairman on the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, submitted the following report from Speaker of your Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security. Has had under consideration the following bill of the Senate. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 368 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Alan Powell, the 32nd District Chairman. Representative Hardin, the 148th District Chairman on Committee on Special Rules, submitted the following report from Speaker of your Committee on Special Rules. Has had under consideration the following resolutions of the House and Senate. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Rule 149 do pass. House Resolution 1137 do pass. House Resolution 1160 do pass. House Resolution 1414 do pass. Senate Resolution 1449 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Hardin, the 148th District Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
The House will come to order. House will come to order. I'm going to ask all members and guests to please take seats. We are about to conduct some business here. We're going on to the local calendar. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. One bill on the local calendar relates to homestead exemption and requires a recorded 2/3 roll call vote for passage. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. The clerk will read the local calendar.
House Bill 1021 by Representative Hardin, the 148th, Pulaski County. House Bill 1022 by Representative Perkle, 155th, Coffee County. House Bill 1023 by substitute by Representative Spencer, the 180th, Camden County. House Bill 1024 by Representative Werkheiser, the 157th, City of Glenville. House Bill 1026 by Representative Hill of the 3rd, City of Ringgold. House Bill 1030 by Representative Bruce of the 61st, City of Douglasville. House Bill 1031 by Representative Collins, the 68th, City of Villa Rica. House Bill 1033 by Representative England of the 116th, Barrow County. House Bill 1034 by Representative Gassaway of the 28th, Town of Tallulah Falls. House Bill 1035 by Representative Smyrie of the 135th, Muskogee County. House Bill 1036 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Fulton County. Senate Bill 398 by Senator Harbison of the 15th, Talbot County. Senate Bill 440 by Senator Tillery of the 19th, City of Soperton.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills. The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote aye. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of the bills on the local calendar, the ayes are 156, the nays are 0. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. For what purpose does Chairman England rise?
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
I move immediate transmittal of House Bill 1033 to the Senate, please.
House Bill 1033 was one of the measures on the local calendar that was just approved. The gentleman has moved for immediate transmittal to the other legislative body of House Bill 1033. Is there objection? Is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is so ordered. What purpose does Representative Collins rise?
I move to make a motion, Mr. Speaker,
State your motion.
that House Bill 1031 be immediately transmitted to the Senate.
House Bill 1031 was on the local calendar, which was just approved. The gentleman has moved that House Bill 1031 be immediately transmitted across the hall. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. We are now going on to morning orders. We're in what the Bible refers to as the last days. Trying to take us back to where we were yesterday, or day before, I guess, actually. Given that we are where we are on the schedule, and we have a number of morning orders. I'm going to ask that members confine their remarks to no more than 1 minute. No more than 1 minute. And I will also tell, as a little housekeeping matter, all members of the House, I was advised yesterday that there are no further openings for invite resolutions for the remainder of the session. If you do not have one scheduled, then put it down for next year. The only exception will be if we are able to honor an invitation we extended to a certain football coach over in Athens early in the session. We will, he can visit with us when he wants, because we invited him some time ago, but don't be applying for any further, because there are none. In fact, we've taken extras, as you will see. Chair recognizes for a morning order of 1 minute Chairman Matt Dollar.
Thank you, Speaker. Today is Dermatology Day at the Capitol. They'll be doing screenings downstairs in room 216 till about, I think, 4 o'clock today. It's very important. Doesn't take a second. Just go down there, have them check you out. Thank you, Speaker.
Chair recognizes the Chairman of the Rules Committee, Chairman Meadows, and the Chair of the Appropriations Committee, Chairman England, for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to tell you that there will be a Rules Committee meeting in room 341 Monday. But on the other hand,
How many of you know that today is Pi Day? Okay, 3.14, 314. But there's someone else that enjoys eating pie that has a birthday today as well, and that happens to be our speaker. So if y'all would, join in as Chairman Meadows leads happy birthday to our speaker.
I'm going to defer to Mr. Hatchett. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. Speaker. Happy birthday to you. 47 seconds. We beat our minute.
Thank y'all very much. It's my wish every year to spend my birthday with y'all. Thank you very much. Y'all are kind. Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Mary Margaret Oliver.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased today to welcome to the House, the People's House, congregation of Beth Jacob from the 82nd House District. They are celebrating their 75th anniversary as the largest Orthodox Jewish community in the Southeast. We're very pleased to have them on a state highway where we pay particular attention on La Vista Road to their walking faith community. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen from Beth Jacob. Happy to have you. Please stand in the gallery.
Chair recognizes Chairman Ballinger for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm joined by other members of our Cherokee County delegation as we welcome to our Georgia Capitol today members of the Governmental Affairs Committee for our Cherokee County Chamber of Commerce. If y'all will please stand so the House can welcome y'all. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Spencer for a morning order.
And thank you, Mr. Speaker. On your desk, you have a couple of articles, one from the Atlanta Business Chronicle, one from the Brunswick News. The FAA has completed their environmental impact statement on their study for the Camden Spaceport project. And in that draft report, they have made a recommendation to allow launches in Camden County. So this is a very exciting news. On the last page there from the Brunswick News, there is an email there. If you would like to send supportive comments to that email for this project, please do so on your letterhead. I would appreciate it. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes for a morning order Representative Gonzalez, Representative Cannon, Representative Wallace, and Representative Carter.
Hopefully. Oh. Good morning, colleagues. Most of you know about my love for the arts. Not only are visual artists my clients, but many creatives call House District 117 their home. Today I want to share with you about one installation that was put up yesterday on the White House lawn. 7,000 pairs of empty children's shoes, each pair representing a child shot and killed since the Newton shooting. When I saw the picture on Facebook yesterday, it made me reflect on how many times in the past 2 months in this session we have justified the passing of legislation on the saving of lives, whether that meant one life or one high school class, as in the distracted driving bill, or a couple of hundred people on the THC oil bill. So today, as a freshman who is still learning the rules, many of which are not in the Red Book, I asked Chairman England that when he looks to allocate those $18 million we authorized for school safety, that we allocate some of that money to more counselors in our schools, to help children and to prevent another Parkland. I am a supporter of the Second Amendment, As an attorney, I will protect your right to own a gun just the same way as I will protect your right to freedom of speech, even if I do not agree with what you have to say. For to deny that right to you is to deny that right to me. This morning, many parents woke up as they always do, got their children up, dressed them for school, gave them breakfast, asked if they did their homework, and sent them to school without another care. Other parents woke up today as they do every day, got their children up, dressed them for school, gave them breakfast, asked if they did their homework, sent them to school, and then worry all day whether their child will come back home, whether because of a school shooting or because of the color of their skin. So today I rise and stand here in front of my colleagues to say, I do not want your guns. I want your hearts, so that we can protect generations of children, so that those 7,000 pairs of shoes will no longer be empty, but filled with 7,000 pairs of feet of our children running, laughing, and living. Thank you.
Oh, we're not? Okay.
Chair recognizes Chairman Werkheiser for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just want to quickly recognize a school from my district. This year's Pinewood Christian Academy Lady basketball team had a record of 28-2, which culminated in the GISA State Championship. A little bit of trivia: their head coach, Elizabeth Tatum, I got to watch her 11 years ago as my kids were attending that school as a player, set all kind of records, and then 11 years later she took the team as a coach to a state championship with two super assistant coaches, Jamie Oates and a very close friend of mine, Kim Tarver. So thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Morris for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, it's interesting that we just recognized Pinewood Academy, which is the rival of my alma mater, Robert Toombs Christian Academy. I hope one of those two losses was at the hands of the Crusaders that Pinewood suffered. But the 11th and 12th graders from Robert Toombs are visiting the Capitol. We want to make them welcome. Stand up and let them see what a fine looking group of students we have at Robert Toombs.
Chair recognizes Representative Lopez for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't just want to come in. Could you please stand? The Balsa Student Association. There we are. Okay. We're very proud to have you here. Welcome to your house, the People's House. This is a cohort of students from the Black Law Student Association, and I'd like to say one of my fondest memories of law school, and that's hard to say, law school and fondness, was precisely working through LALSA and BALSA to advocate for our administration to increase both funding to our moot court competitions and also to increase scholarships for students of color. And so they're here today lobbying, and I'm really excited, as I told them, to make to one day in the very near future have them sitting here as one of our members of this chamber, and I'll even take a few state senators. Well, if you please rise and welcome them to here.
Chair recognizes Representative Derek Jackson for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise this morning asking you if we can give 17 seconds of silence. A month ago, 17 families came to a screeching halt when their loved ones were taken from them. And I know a lot of the families do not want our prayers or our thoughts, because they much rather have their loved ones. But at least let us take 17 seconds to remember those who were tragically taken from those families. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Anulowicz for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a threefer, but I'll still be done in less than a minute. First, I would like to acknowledge that Monday was the 106th birthday of the Girl Scouts of America. They were founded in Savannah, Georgia, 106 years ago on March 12th by Juliette Gordon Lowe. Second, I would like to acknowledge that this is AmeriCorps Week in Marietta. In that part of my district, there is a squadron of dedicated, outstanding AmeriCorps volunteers who work every day with elementary school students and high school students at the Yells Incorporated after-school program in Marietta. And third, I would like to recognize a lot of folks from the Cobb Democrats who are down here today to visit the Capitol. They will probably be pulling some of y'all out to the ropes to talk about issues that are important to them. Thank you so much.
Chair recognizes Representative Mabel Thomas for a morning order. Representative, the clock is running.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and members of this distinguished body. What I would like to do is to, along with State Representative Carl Gilliard, is to invite you to the Georgia State Rotunda as we host the historic exhibit, American Abolitionists, Conscience of a Nation. And this, the American Abolition Movement, curated by Eric Saul, who's a military historian, Morgantown, Virginia, and Dr. Amy Fisk, PhD of West Virginia University, sponsored by the Center for Jubilee Reconciliation and Healing out of Savannah, Georgia. It's today, the Capitol Rotunda from 1 to 5, and the reception is to follow in the Capitol room 230 from 2:30 to 5 o'clock. So we did put this on everybody's desk, and we would really like for you to attend. As you know, slavery was abolished by the 13th Amendment of the Constitution, and some of the people from Frederick Douglass and others who made that contribution, this is a photographic exhibit, and you will enjoy it. Thank you so much, and I've done my minutes. You have any time? You okay? All right, he's okay. Thank you, and peace and love.
Chair recognizes Representative Wallace and Representative Gonzalez for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize some citizens from District 117 and 119. They've taken the long trek and commuted down here, and we just want to say thank you for them to come and see the work in the People's House. We appreciate that so much. So if y'all could rise real quick, and we'll give you a warm welcome to the Capitol. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Wynn for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Today, across our nation and across our great state of Georgia, students of all ages have stepped up to honor the 17 victims of Parkland, Florida. More than 185 students were expected to participate in today's national walkout with and without the support of their respective school systems. As we honor the lives of the 17 victims and the lives of all the student and faculty impacted, I cannot help but reflect on some of the greatest gifts we have in the United States: the freedom of speech, the freedom to assemble, and the freedom to ask and demand those we have elected to uphold their duty to protect us, to serve us, and to listen to us. When my father was not yet 30 years old, he was thrown into prison by his own country for having a dissenting political view. His experience reminds me to cherish the rights we have in America. That is one among the many reasons I unequivocally support the students who have chosen to participate in the national walkout. I stand in solidarity with the student-led movement, as some of the most productive and profound movements have been carried on the backs of our young people. The great congressman from our 5th Congressional District, John Lewis, was only 17 years old when he met Rosa Parks. When our young people rise, we must bear witness to their courage. We must listen and we must act with the same courage demonstrated to us by them. It is our duty and our responsibility to ensure that every child should be able to get up in the morning and know they will be safe in their schools, that they will not have to worry about losing their younger brother or sister, their best friend, or their teacher. They will not have to send that one last text message home to their parents: "If I don't make it, I love you." So today, I thank all the students, the thousands across our nation. We hear you and we honor your bravery. Thank you.
Chair, I want you to help me welcome back to the floor of the House a distinguished former member of this body, former State Representative Rusty Kidd. Some of you that are new may not remember that Representative Kidd chaired the Independent Caucus here for a number of years. Chair recognizes Representative Gertler to introduce the Doctor of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a great honor to introduce the Doctor of the Day, my friend and constituent, Dr. Stephen Gerard. Dr. Stephen Gerard was born and raised in Northeast Oklahoma and was appointed to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point and graduated in 1982, accepting a commission as an infantry officer in the United States Army, during which he trained at Fort Benning, Georgia on many occasions. After serving in various command and staff positions in 14 years, to include an assignment back at West Point on the faculty, he received a health profession scholarship from the Army and graduated from the James H. Quillen College of Medicine at East Tennessee State University in 2000. Following a general surgery residency at Fort Gordon, Georgia, Dr. Gerard served as the Army surgeon at Fort Stewart, Georgia, to include 2 combat tours with the Ford Surgical Team in Afghanistan. Dr. Gerard retired from the U.S. Army in 2010 and now practices surgery and general medicine in and around Raven County, Georgia. Please welcome Dr. Stephen Gerard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, who I'm proud to call my representative. Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the People's House in Georgia, it's an honor to stand before you and represent Georgia doctors. I hope that you have someone in your district that is proud to call you their representative, and that person is a doctor that you can look to for advice, use as a resource for medical policy and healthcare bills that come before you. Because ultimately the rules, policies, and laws that are decided in this House filter down to the most basic level of a doctor in a room with a patient that they care about and are a fellow member of their community. We look to you for that and are willing to provide you that guidance. Thank you all for your service, and I wish you all good luck in the coming, and if that should wind you back up here next session, we give you the best wishes for continued service. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Good to be here from Northeast Georgia.
House will be in order. This House will come to order. We are about to recognize and honor some very distinguished guests with us today. The clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 1098.
House Resolution 1098 by Representative Caldwell of the 131st, a resolution commending the Upson Lee High School Knights boys basketball team for winning the 2017 GHSA 4A State Basketball Championship and for other purposes.
The chair recognizes the chair of the Congressional and Legislative Reapportionment Committee, Chairman Caldwell, for an invite resolution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, we have, over the years that I've been here, had a lot of champions here for various organizations: football, basketball, tennis, golf, you name it. But I want to introduce you today to the champion of champions, and that is the Upson Lee High boys basketball team. And the reason that I say that is, not only have they won 2 consecutive state titles last year and this year, but they have won 63 consecutive ball games. That is the longest streak in the history of Georgia High School Association, and it is the longest streak in the United States. And over 3 years, they are 91-4. So I think that speaks to what type of champions they are. The team is seated up here, boys. Would y'all please stand up and let's give them a round of applause. It's almost unheard of to have that type of record and come from a small school like they do in Thomaston, Georgia. They're #1 in the state of Georgia, and as I say, they're ranked 12th in the United States. There are a lot of people that helped get them here, and I'm going to introduce their coaches as well as the athletic director, but there's also then other people that help. And this person is not in the school, but he's a radio announcer who does their play-by-play. And in Middle Georgia, he is known as the Larry Munson of Middle Georgia, and that is Mickey Thrasher, big gentleman standing over here to my right. If you've ever heard him do play-by-play and to keep up with a basketball game, it's amazing. And so we appreciate him. Now I'm going to introduce you to the athletic director, Bryce Robinson, for a few remarks about the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Representative Caldwell. We appreciate the opportunity to be here and recognize these young men and these coaches that have worked so hard to bring honor and excellence to our community. Head coach here, Darryl Lockhart. Assistant coaches, Ham Kelly, Troy Woodard, and Michael Price. They've done a great job leading these young men. These young men are not only winners on the court, but they're winners in the classroom. They do what they're supposed to. We don't have to worry about them getting in trouble. They lead in the school, and they also do well in the community, doing community service, helping kids out at elementary schools. Also, they do a Christmas party for kids in the community that are less fortunate, and we just thank you for the opportunity to be here and recognizing them today.
Thanks for being with us.
Yes, sir.
House will continue to be in order. Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 1278.
House Resolution 1278 by Williams to the 168th, Stevens to the 164th, Hitchens to the 161st, Holcomb to the 81st, and Hughley to the 136th. A resolution recognizing and commending Dr. Roger Lotson, 2017 National Youth Challenge Director of the Year, and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Al Williams for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is indeed a personal and professional privilege and honor to stand and present you with a very special gentleman this morning, Dr. Roger Lotson. But before I do, I would like to recognize there's several supporters and family members that have joined us up in the gallery. If you would just stand, let us see you. They've come a long way. It's about 260 miles from around McIntosh County. Thank you. We're honoring Dr. Roger Lotson this morning. We have in Georgia 3 campuses of the Youth Challenge program. The Youth Challenge program is one of the most successful programs nationwide for helping at-risk students. It's a program whose idea, one of the founders, Senator Sam Nunn, when he served in the Senate, was one of the sponsors of the legislation that created the Youth Challenge. We're very proud in Liberty County to have one of the first down in Fort Stewart. But we're here this morning to recognize Dr. Roger Lotson, who is the National Director of Youth Challenge Academies in America. That's 40 different campuses. He is at the top of his game. He is accompanied by his wife, Charlene, and of course, representing the AG's office is Colonel Steinberger, and accompanying also Brigadier General Reginald Neal. We're certainly glad to have them here. If you would, Dr. Lotson, for a few comments, listen, this is a great program, and the state of Georgia has done a wonderful job of supporting the Youth Challenge program.
Thank you, Representative Williams. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, each and every one of you. Good morning. It's indeed a privilege to be honored by this distinguished body, and I thank you for this recognition. I give special appreciation to Representative Al Williams, who represent the district in which the Fort Stewart campus resides and who made this day possible. I thank Representative Prince Williams, Brian Prince, and Rick Williams, representatives of the Fort Gordon and Milledgeville districts. I thank General Gerard and Colonel Steinbrecher for thinking enough of my accomplishment to nominate me for this honor. I also thank my wife and my family for being with me today. A month ago, Georgia went to Washington, D.C. and came back with not one but 2 prestigious national awards, the Director of the Year and Teacher of the Year, whose recipient is Ms. Bynes. This would not have been possible without you. Because of your strong support down through the years, the Georgia Youth Challenge Program has a preeminent position among the 40 youth challenges in the nation. Georgia leads the way, and nationally, Georgia has always led the way in the Youth Challenge Program. 25 years ago, it was a fellow Georgian, Senator Sam Nunn, who co-sponsored the bill that brought the Youth Challenge Program into existence. Year after year, this legislative body assembles and assures not only the continuation of the Georgia program, but the means for us to do more. It was because of your support and visionary leaders like General Gerard and Colonel Steinbrecher that Georgia continues to lead the way, and we are the destination of choice for states and national leaders who want to know what right looks like. We are one of only 3 states that have 3 programs, and one of only 3 states that have a job challenge program that provides 20 weeks of vocational training for our graduates. For 25 years, the quality of the Georgia program has progressively moved onward and upward. We have given hope to 18,000 Georgia at-risk youth who came through our program void of hope. We increased the education of our graduates by an average of 3 grade levels in a short 6 months. We have progressed from a GED program to now offering the opportunity for individuals to recover high school credits and earn their high school diploma. In addition, qualified candidates can obtain vocational certification and receive college credits, and we remain resolute to continue the tradition of excellence. My family is here today standing with me to include my wife Charlene, my son and daughter-in-law Roshad and Fallon, my granddaughter Cadence, and other relatives, including 5 of my 9 siblings. I mention them to point out the many families of the 18,000 graduates. Many of these families thought they would never be proud of their children, but because of Youth Challenge and because of you, they are now as proud of them as my family is of me. Because of you, Youth Challenge graduates' path along life's highway are forever changed, and they are on a trajectory that will lead them to a brighter future, one that is filled with limitless possibilities. Thank you for your resolution, but more importantly, on behalf of every hard-working employee of the Fort Stewart, Fort Gordon, and Milledgeville campuses, thank you for your continual support. We have come a long way in the 25 years, but stand by, for the best is yet to come. Again, thank you, and may God bless you.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 1409.
House Resolution 1409 by Representative Prince, the 127th, Howard, the 124th, and Williams, the 168th. A resolution commending Chandra Bynes, the 2018 National Guard Youth Foundation Challenge Program Teacher of the Year, and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Brian Prince for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, you've just heard about the great things that Youth Challenge is doing. Please join me in welcoming to our chamber the National Guard Foundation's Youth Challenge National Teacher of the Year, Ms. Chandra Baines from the campus of Fort Gordon, Georgia. Ms. Baines was chosen for this honor from amongst 400 teachers nationwide. This program has been in existence for over 25 years, and she is the first Georgian to receive this award. Please join me in welcoming her.
Thank you so much for this honor and for allowing me to come to the People's House. Again, thank you so much.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 1114.
House Resolution 1114 by Representative Lopez in the 99th, Cox in the 108th, and McLean in the 100th. A resolution commending Tommy Welch, the 2017-2018 Georgia Principal of the Year, and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Lopez for an invite resolution.
No, sorry, Mr. Speaker, we're having some technical difficulties. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues. I am very honored. It's definitely a high honor to have Principal Tommy Welch present with us today. He's the 2018 Georgia High School Principal of the Year, and under his leadership that is well known through Gwinnett County and our state of Georgia, he is transforming and empowering all of our students in our school system. He was born and raised in Buffalo, New York, and has completed his undergraduate and graduate degree studies from State University of New York at Buffalo, and returned to Georgia as a, I believe, social studies, correct? Social studies teacher, and eventually earned his PhD from Mercer University. He has shown a drive to improve achievement of all our students, and under his leadership, a few examples of that great leadership include a 22% increase in graduation rates, an over 40% increase in SAT scores, and the Georgia Department of Education's honored AP Humanities and STEM School, and is also the founding principal of Meadow Creek High School's Meadow Creek University that includes colleges and career academies. So I'd like to thank him for all the work that he does in the district, and one of the hallmarks of the work that I like to do is making sure that we promote our students, all of our students, and throughout all our state to continue on to higher education, and he exemplifies the great work that's being done here in the state of Georgia by all our public schools. So thank you for your service.
Thank you, Representative Lopez and Speaker of the House. Some of you might wonder why is a principal deciding to come here on this day? When it's National Walkout Day, as you heard, my school building is over 3,200 students. Why would I choose to be here today instead of in my building? Well, one, I'd like to thank you all for recognizing me. But two, I think it's more important to be here in front of the people who are making the decisions for my students on this day to represent my students, my district, my county, to show you all what public education can do for your students. Everyone in here has come through a schoolhouse. If you didn't, I don't think you would be where you are today. My only ask of you today is that you remember the students in everything that you do, whether it's funding, safety, curriculum, or legislation, that you remember that schoolhouse that you came from one day, and that you make sure that that schoolhouse is a better place for the students in our future and your former constituents. Yes, we've done a lot of great things at Meadow Creek High School, and we couldn't have done those things without our community. With me today, you'll see one of our representatives from Brand Bank. It's a community bank that we have in Gwinnett. Well, they realized that financial literacy was needed within the curriculum. So they partnered with us to make sure that that takes place. With me, I have our students. You can't have a schoolhouse without a students. If y'all didn't know that, you can't have curriculum without students. You can't have state championships without students. You can't have voters without students. Our students have made me very proud over the years as they continue to exceed my expectations. We represent the state on multiple levels. We are your 7A's basketball championships, your 7A soccer championship. We have a Pro Start team going to the national championship. First Robotics going to national competition as well. But if I can leave anything on your hearts today, there's one thing that you remember from me standing here before you. Public education works, but also through the actions that you all take, please try to make that schoolhouse a better schoolhouse for your students. Thank you.
House will come to order. House will come to order. We had one member who had signed up for a morning order earlier today and was out of the chamber in a meeting. At this time, the chair recognizes the Majority Caucus Whip, Representative Coomer, for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, as we discussed the budget that we voted on recently, you heard the comment that your heart will be where your treasure is, and your priorities are where you put your treasure. We heard that over and over. And I am happy to say that as a state, as a member of this body, I was able to demonstrate, as many of you were, that my heart is in school safety, because I voted in favor of a budget that put $8 million of new spending towards school safety in this state. I want to say, if you stood up here and talked about school safety and voted against that budget, your heart is not about school safety. Your heart is about self-promotion, and you ought to be ashamed.
Chair recognizes the Minority Caucus Whip, Representative Hughley, for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have a special group of students here from Columbus, Georgia. They are from Rothschild Middle School, and if you all would stand, their principal is with them, Ms. Terry Myers. Thank you, guys. At home, we call them the Rock, so y'all give them a round of applause.
We are now going on to the rules calendar. We're going to the rules calendar. The clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 1376.
House Resolution 1376 by Representatives Hatchett of the 150th and others, urging the House Rural Development Council to solicit input from the hospitals in the state on the financial condition of such hospitals. This resolution I refer to the Committee on Health and Human Services. That committee recommends this resolution be adopted.
Chair recognizes Chairman Hatchett to present the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, this is a simple resolution urging the House Rural Development Council to give the hospital industry a stage to tell their story even more and allow us to exceptionally look at all of the financial reports and viability of all the hospitals across this state and give them the ability to tell us even more things that might improve our hospitals across the state. Mr. Speaker, that's the resolution, and I'll stand for any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you. I'll yield the well and ask for your favorable consideration.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of House Resolution 1376 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the adoption of House Resolution 1376, the ayes are 166, the nays are 1. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 382.
Senate Bill 382 by Senator Martin of the 9th, Strickland of the 17th, Walker of the 20th, Kirk of the 13th, Miller of the 49th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 4331 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating definitions relative to optometrists so as to provide for guidance and consultation by the Department of Public Health. This bill I referred to the Committee on Health and Human Services. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Rhodes to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I rise to present SB 382. Last year we passed what we call the Optom Bill, and all SB 382 does is codify an executive order issued by Governor Deal with regard to the training requirements for the new treatment we approved last year. That, Mr. Speaker, if I don't have any questions, I'll yield the will.
You have no questions.
I ask for your favorable consideration.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of Senate Bill 382 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of Senate Bill 382, the ayes are 170, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 333.
Senate Bill 333 by Senator Black of the 8th, Anderson of the 43rd, Watson of the 1st, Red of the 33rd, Burke of the 11th. To be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 18 to Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to deferred compensation plans so as to provide that the governing authority of a municipality may pay back costs or fees associated with an employee's participation. This bill having referred to the Committee on Governmental Affairs and recommitted to retirement. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Battles to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Early in the session, House Bill 692 by Chairman Maxwell was submitted to us for a vote, and we voted unanimously for that bill. This is exactly the same bill that came over from the Senate by Senator Black in Senate Bill 333. Simply, and it was early in the session, so I'm just going to give you just a highlight for it, and then if there's any questions, I'll try to answer those. This legislation would provide local governments more flexibility in providing employees with a deferred compensation plan. The legislation would encourage greater savings by local government and employees and reduce the costs in local governments in offering deferred compensation plans by allowing auto enrollment in compliance with federal law. That's all it does. And as I said, we've already passed this. This is just going to kind of seal the deal on this legislation. Stand for any questions. If not, I'll yield the well.
You have no questions?
Yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of Senate Bill 333 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of Senate Bill 333. The ayes are 167, the nays are 2. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 425.
Senate Bill 425 by Senator Gucci, the 51st, Walker of the 20th, Miller of the 49th, Kirk of the 13th, Albers the 56th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to professions and businesses so as to change provisions relating to professional land surveyors. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Representative Rakestraw to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. What I bring before you is Senate Bill 425, which is the same as House Bill 833 that we passed a few weeks ago. And this is a bill that the surveyors have brought forward. It's the exact same bill that we passed almost unanimously in this House. And this is to change the licensing requirements to take out hydrology coursework for surveyors, because a lot of the hydrology coursework hydrology is living in the engineering space now, and it's not relevant. So they have replaced it with more relevant courses to surveying, and that's essentially what the bill does. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, if there's no questions, I'll yield the well.
There are no questions. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of Senate Bill 425 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of Senate Bill 425. The ayes are 158, the nays are 6. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Resolution 794.
Senate Resolution 794 by Senator Miller of the 49th, Gooch of the 51st, Wilkinson the 50th, Ginn of the 47th, and Utterman of the 45th. A resolution creating the joint Georgia, North Carolina, and Georgia-Tennessee Boundary Line Commission. This resolution having been referred to the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination. That committee recommends that this resolution be adopted.
Chair recognizes Representative Mark Morris to present the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I rise today to ask your support for Senate Resolution 794. This was the identical bill that we carried through the House earlier related to the North Georgia-Tennessee boundary. Now, this has been carried through the Senate by Senator Butch Miller, also known as the dealer for the people or the king of Hondas in the South. He understands that this issue is vital to the future of Georgia. It is a long-running issue related to the border going back to 1818. So we're hoping to resolve that. Our Constitution and the Constitution of Tennessee states that the border is the 35th parallel. Currently it's fixed at 34 degrees north, 59 minutes, 5 seconds north. So I'm asking for your support for Senate Resolution 794. Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I ask for your support. I yield the will.
You have a question if you care to yield.
I do.
Chair recognizes Chairman Tom Taylor to your right for a question.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yield.
I do.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you bringing this bill. I just want to remind everybody that compatriot of ours that left us a few years ago, Harry Geisinger, worked on this for years. It was his passion, and I just appreciate you bringing this bill, sir.
Thank you.
No further questions.
Thank you, sir.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of Senate Resolution 794 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the adoption of Senate Resolution 794, the ayes are 161, the nays are 4. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Senate Bill 357 will be postponed until the next legislative day. The clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions.
Recognizing and commending the contributions of Georgia Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Commending Greg Huberty, Clark County School System's 2018 Teacher of the Year. Commending the House interns for the 2018 session. Recognizing and commending Academy Sports and Outdoors. Recognizing and commending on the occasion of his retirement. Commending the Middle Georgia State University Knights equestrian team for placing 4th overall in the ISHA Regional Finals. Commending the Upson Lee High School Knight Boys basketball team for winning the 2018 GHSA 4A State Basketball Championship. Recognizing and commending the proposed Reflections immersive video. Recognizing and commending Senator Don Trotter on the occasion of his retirement. Recognizing and commending Elizabeth Kiss for her accomplishments as the beloved 8th president of Agnes Scott College. Recognizing Girl Scouts on the grand occasion of its 106th anniversary. Commending all Vietnam-era and Vietnam War veterans and their families, and the Vietnamese community in the state, recognizing the week of May 6th through 12th, 2018, as the 43rd anniversary observance of the ending of the Vietnam War. Recognizing and commending Pastor Avery Head on the occasion of his 23rd pastoral anniversary. Commending Sandra Nash, Coney County School System's Teacher of the Year. Recognizing and commending Providence Christian Academy for being named a top STEM program in the state of Georgia. Recognizing and commending Rothschild's Leadership Academy. Recognizing and commending Alicia Beasley, Miss Georgia 2017. Recognizing and commending Jonathan Moy, Loganville Christian Academy's 2018 Star Student. Recognizing March 28, 2018 is Progressive Multiple Sclerosis Day at the state capitol. Recognizing the academic accomplishments of Archer High School's Caleb Kim and others. Commending John Jameson, Archer High School's 2018 Star Teacher. Recognizing and commending Hannah McAfee, Archer High School's 2018 Star Student. Recognizing and commending the Georgia Community Action Agency Association. Recognizing and commending Mike Thomas on his outstanding public service. Commending the Jefferson High School Dragons wrestling team for winning their 17th consecutive state wrestling duels championship. Commending the Commerce High School Tigers wrestling team for winning their 5th consecutive GHSA Class 1A traditional state wrestling title. Recognizing and honoring Greece and the coordinated efforts of Helen on the sacred occasion of Greek Independence Day. Honoring the life and memory of William Michael Malouf Sr. Recognizing and honoring Emery A. Schwall for his many years of esteemed and outstanding contributions to the state of Georgia in the field of law and in charitable service. Recognizing and commending Sophia Anjum, Walnut Grove High School's 2018 Star Student, and for other purposes. That completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. If you have signed up for an announcement, make your way to the front of the chamber. Chair recognizes for an announcement Chairman Reinders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and happy birthday. Anyway, I'll get a bill out of rules. We got a lot of bills today in governmental affairs. We're going to cover that in room 406 of the LOB at 1 o'clock. Full Governmental Affairs Committee meeting, 1 o'clock in room 406 of the LOB. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and again, happy birthday.
Chair recognizes Chairman Werkheiser for an announcement.
The Industry and Labor Committee that was scheduled for this afternoon has been canceled. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Beverly for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Happy birthday. The House Democratic Caucus will meet tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. House Democratic Caucus, room 216. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Parsons for an announcement.
Thank you, Speaker. Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications will meet at 2 o'clock in room 403. Room 403, 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Pruitt for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There will be a state planning and community affairs meeting today. I don't think any of you have a sheet on your desk because it was just decided about this, and we're going to have it at 1:30 in room 403 at the Capitol. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Barr for an announcement.
Howdy, y'all. I am here to postpone the Natural Resources Subcommittee meeting this afternoon. It was at 2 o'clock, but we are postponing that. The Natural Resource Environment Subcommittee postponed. Thank y'all.
Chair recognizes Chairman Sam Watson for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rural Caucus will meet today over in 201 at Department of Agriculture. We've got Georgia Propane Association as the presenter today. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Lynn Smith for an announcement.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, this announcement is for the full Natural Resource and Environment Committee. We have a meeting tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, the regular room, 606 CLOB. See you then. 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, Natural Resource and Environment Committee.
Chair recognizes Chairman Setzler for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Setzler Subcommittee of Judiciary and Non-Civil will meet this afternoon at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. this afternoon in 606 LOB, 4 p.m. Setzler Subcommittee, taking up Senate Bill 315.
That completes. You have one. Chair recognizes Chairman Cooper for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Health and Human Services will meet this afternoon in 3 in room 406. Change of room for everybody, 406. Health and Human Services this afternoon at 3. Thank you.
That completes our announcements. The chair does want to advise you, though, that as we are here this morning, the minority leader and his wife are in labor over in Noonan. I told him last night I can't think of a more appropriate thing than for the minority leader to have a baby or on my birthday. He said he agreed, but I'm not sure he meant it. But Chair recognizes the majority leader for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, it'll be 2 happy birthdays today, so we hope for all that. Happy birthday to you. Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand in recess until 4 p.m. today and then be adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, March 15th, 2018.
The majority leader has moved that this House be in recess until 4 o'clock p.m. today, whereupon we would stand adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, March 15th at 10 a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. This House will be in recess until 4 o'clock p.m. today, whereupon we will be adjourned until 10 a.m. Thursday.